Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. It's a crazy April day. I think it's 2nd of April. So a couple of hours ago we had snow and the ground was covered. You can probably see that the snow has not melted over here. It's still there, but the rest of the garden is completely clear and the sky is blue, and that's just April for you. It's kind of lovely that we can go in every direction in a couple of hours. But I've invited you in here because this is my most painful corner in the food forest. This is the northwest corner of the food forest. And when I started making this forest garden, this food forest, 8 years ago, I started on a grassy field filled with weeds and grass, and as you can see, also maybe you can see I have lots of quick grass, or twitch I think you call it, and it is terrible. It's everywhere, and it's not everywhere in the garden, but I knew that I had this in all of this area, and these are impossible to get rid of. So what I did when I started the garden was that I got a lot of huge sheets of black plastic used from a farmer, and then I put huge pieces everywhere on the soil in the garden, and I left it there for a year to shade out this MF. And it worked in most parts of the garden, but in a few parts I didn't get rid of it entirely. And this is one of the corners, and I mean the corners are often neglected because I have lots of other things to do, and then I don't really get all the way into the corners. So slowly this grew back in this corner, and it also grew back because it's coming from the grass, and it's growing in from both sides of the fence, and it's impossible to keep out. So this year I decided to try to shade it out, not with plastic but in a different way, and maybe I will not kill it entirely, but I will reduce it and weaken it, so that maybe other plants that I'm planting in this will have a chance to thrive and maybe take over. So I will be finding some really powerful plants that can keep their own space and maybe fight with this twitch or quick grass. So what I did this time is that I added a lot of wet newspaper, like a good layer of wet newspaper. First I cut it back and I removed everything, because I feel that when I'm doing this I want to make the contact between the newspaper and the soil quite sort of strong. So I don't want a lot of sticks going up. I just want the contact to be quite firm. And I mean, in this bit that I already did, I put 3 big wheelbarrows of old newspaper, and I've been usually I leave it soaking overnight so it's completely wet, and then I'm just adding these thick layers of newspaper. Of course I'm also adding the compost, and as you can see, but it takes a while for the grass to find its way through these newspapers. So I am doing this to make it more difficult and to weaken it even further. And newspaper is a favorite resource for the food forest. I get this from my wonderful neighbors and from some friends in the village nearby, and they just text me when they've put out all their old newspapers, and I pick it up, and it's a wonderful way. So I collect newspapers all year round. I also use this technique to on the pathways in the food forest. I think it's pretty easy, and it lasts quite a long time. So I think that's a good way to do it, at least here. But they do have to be very wet, because if you have wind and the wind catches the newspaper underneath, and then you can have newspapers all over the garden, and you have to pick it up and start over again, and that's a nuisance. So better very wet, and a good thick layer also on top. I've got a wheelbarrow here, and I think I'll finish this today. This should be really good. And I'm adding a good layer because I've got lots of compost, and also because I want to grow stuff in this directly, and I'm not, when I'll be planting in this, I will not be digging all the way through the newspaper and into the soil to fuse the layers as I usually do, but I will just be planting directly in the compost, because of course I don't want to allow any light at all into this nuisance. So yeah, this is murder one. This is how I murder these these annoying things. There you have it. Maybe you have other ways of getting rid of these. I'd be really interested to hear how you go about that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you later.